This is my third video on the Accordance Bible software, and this series is about how I use Accordance to search the Hebrew Bible. I know I said I was going to do 2 videos, but video number 2 ended up being quite long, and there was more I wanted to give in terms of examples I had written down already. So I'm going to do that now in this video. You will probably need to watch the first or the second one at least. The first one is just how to get the Bible, the correct tagged Bible. The second one gives all the basics for how to set up the searching, how to use this Hebrew construct search, and what this analysis window is, etc. So if you haven't seen that video, you probably need to see number 2 first. This is number 3. So last time we looked for, the last thing we looked for was this verb, rachaf, and that is a lexeme, right? That's a word. We're looking for that. We're looking for amar, looking for shamar. I can't remember which words we looked at. But we don't just have to search for words. We can search for word categories. So I'm going to delete this. So lexeme is here. When you want a specific word, it's right here. Let's, as an example, let's grab noun as a category, right? A type of word. We'll drop it in here. And I just did a trial run of this with all nouns, but it's too big. It just takes forever to do anything. So I'm just going to pick proper names, proper nouns. So names in the Bible. And let's hit search. Still takes a couple moments to find all the names in the Bible. Hopefully not too long. There we go. Okay, so they're listed alphabetically, and we see a root. Sometimes if you get this lamed, I think it means they don't know what the root is. The root of avi is of, and the root of avi yasaf is of and yasaf, etc. Let me show you a couple things with the display. So Ctrl-T or Command-T. This brings up our display window again. So right now, here, we're showing the lexeme and the inflection. So we see the lexeme. This is the entry that would be in the dictionary. And we see the inflection possibilities. So for this name, we see this inflection and we see this inflection. With proper names, with names, it doesn't make a lot of sense because typically you just have one form, but sometimes you have 2. Let us delete the inflections for this because we don't care about the inflections for names. And so let me just do that. See what it looks like. Be simpler. This takes long enough. Okay, so now we just have the lexeme. And let us, oh, I did the wrong thing, Ctrl-T. We're seeing the roots here. We don't care about the roots for this, so you can turn off the roots. Show root with lexeme. So we'll turn that off. We'll leave the gloss. That's the English bit. And you have some other options here. We have options of to sort alphabetically or to sort by number, by frequency. So let's do countdown. We'll do both of these here, primary and secondary sorting. You can have different countdowns by sheer number or frequency or uniqueness or importance. You can go into the help here, click this, and see the distinctions between these different types of things. I'm just going to leave it as number. So just the sheer number of the names with the most frequent on top, without the root. That's what we should see. So right now it's avageta, which was like 1 occurrence or something. I can't remember what it was. So now it's sorted by number, right? So Yahweh, the Tetragrammaton, is the most frequently used name in the Bible, in the Hebrew Bible. Israel is number 2, then David, then Judah, Yehuda, Moshe, Mitzrayim, Egypt, Yerushalayim, Shaul, Levi, Yaakov, Aharon, etc. Interesting. Now, so we can do countdowns. We're not searching by a particular word that would be with this. If you want to search for the Tetragrammaton, we'd use lex, but we can search for just nouns of any sort. So let me delete that. Let's do a verb. a verb category. And we're not going to do all the verbs. We're going to choose a particular verb. Just like with nouns, we chose proper names, proper nouns. We're going to choose a particular thing. So let's look at the Qatal 3ms, the Qal Qatal 3ms, okay? So we're going to limit it by Binyanim, stem is Qal, aspect is Qatal or perfect, person, third masculine, singular. And so we see all the details here that we just clicked, hit search, and we're just going to see all the Qal Qatals, okay? All the perfect 3MSs. And right now we're just seeing the lexeme, right? Let us take a look at the inflection. Because what I want to do is see how the perfect 3MS is formed, okay? So we've got Ahmad. This is what we would expect. This is what you see in your grammar books. The 3 root letters. The first one is a comments. The second one is a patah. You look at your paradigm tables, that's what you're going to see. I'm just noticing over here we have an aleph. This is comments, and that's because it's third aleph, right? So this is going to, the presence of the aleph makes the patah change to a comment. So you get 2 comments here. But what do you do with this guy here? We don't see, there's not an aleph, so this shouldn't go there. So what's going on? So we could go through here. Okay, right now it's showing all the words, right? If we want to examine this word, we need to limit it. So why don't we do that? We'll add Ahmad to, and I'm just going to leave it naked. I'm not going to specify which homograph, whether it's to say or to both. I'm just going to leave it open. And, oh, that did not do. I clicked the wrong thing. So Ahmad, I don't want that one. I want, how do I just get this here? Never actually tried that. Good question. Just the root. I guess I could go like this. Let's see, does that do it? There we go. Okay, let me just recap that. So if you use this, it's going to pick one of them from here, but if you turn this off, then you can get just the raw root there. Oh, I got rid of it. So Ahmad, we'll turn this off and we'll drop it in. Okay. So that should isolate just this. Let me hit search. Okay. So we have less to work with now. And in our search results, we only see Ahmad. So I noticed that the vast majority are what we would expect, but there's these 3 that are different, right? Now I could scroll down through here, Ahmad, and look for those, right? Look. And am I going to find it? I could be, oh, look at that. Actually, I found one. I found one of the 3 right away. But if it wasn't there, and where are the other 2? Oh, there's another one right there. Shoot, they're so close. They happen to be near the beginning. What are all 3? Let's say they were deeper. We didn't want to. If we don't want to scroll, we can triple click. Triple click a form to see its occurrences. So when I triple click this, 1, 2, 3, it brings up a new window. What do they call this here? Tab, I suppose. And it shows me just those verses. And if I zoom it here so you can see it, what is the same between all 3 of these, and why do we have a second comments? There is no third aleph. That's not the reason. It's because it's in pause, right? So we see this big disjunctive nach accent there, and here is the accent that goes with a sof pasuk. So these are all in pause. It's lengthened because it's in pause. So we have a reason. We can learn something just by clicking these things. Triple clicking to see just those results. If I triple click this, then it should show all of them except that, right? 730 versus 749. Okay, that's 730 verses. Some verses have more than 1 in it. Here's our number. That's all of them. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. 749, right? 749 is exactly the number. If I triple click on this guy, I get 3 up there. So this tells you the number of the hits. This tells you the number of verses. In this case, they match because there's 1 in each verse. If I triple click this guy, I get 749 up here. That's how many Ahmadas I have in that form. But it's in 730 verses. There's a few verses that have amar more than once. Amar like this. Qal Qatal 3ms. Okay, so that shows us a little bit of how we can do a little morphological searching and learn something about the grammar. Let me take this out, because I want to show you something else. Actually, I could have just changed the word. But if you scroll down here, natan, this is ordered by frequency. The most common verb in the Qal Qatal 3ms is amar, and then the verb to be, the verb to do, and then the verb to give. Now, I want to show you this. I just stumbled upon this when I was preparing here for the searches. This is what we'd expect. 207 occurrences of natan like this. That makes sense. This guy, okay, what do you think's happening here? Why do we have a shavah here? Why do we have a comments here? And why do we not have a nun safit at the end? Well, it's because we have a suffix, right? So they're just showing you the base. If I triple click this, try it again. There we go. We can see there's a suffix. There's a 3ms suffix here and a 3fs suffix, which is going to make the comments at the front end reduce to a shavah, and it's going to cause this to change as well. So, nitano, nitana, etc. So that's what's going on here. So in the inflection, this is inflected form, it is showing you just the word itself. If there's a suffix, it won't show you the suffix. But you can kind of have a sense of, oh, there's probably a suffix here because of the shape of that nun and the reduction of the front end. This guy, I don't know what the difference is between this and this. But let's look at this one here. And this one. Oh, this one has a dagesh on the front end. For some reason, let's look at that. Oh, that's weird. Okay, no, that's not weird. So Ezra, she is a way of saying asher in later biblical Hebrew. Ezra is later biblical Hebrew. And it doubles the next consonant. So that's why we have that doubling there. Now, this is the guy I want to look at. Natan. Okay, why do we have, again, is that in pause? Is that what's going on? There are two of them. Okay, that's what it says here. Let's triple click. And yes, we see it's in pause. And, oh, that one's not in pause. And that one's not in pause. And that one's not in pause. And what's going on? We're supposed to have two. Why am I getting 44 in 41 verses? Well, what's going on? Okay, I want to show you this because it threw me when I first ran into this. So when you triple click, it is evidently, accordance is not actually searching according to this criteria. It is really simply searching nun with the comments under, tav with the comments under, with a nun. That's all it's searching. And so you will sometimes get more results than you think you should. And so what, for example, in our example here, this one here, what is this? This is Nathan. This is a noun. This has nothing to do with verbs. So this is just a warning. When you triple click, it's just going to search for the raw item. It's not paying attention to any tags, evidently. It's still very useful to triple search because it gets you right to at least, well, it will get you to the words you're looking for, but you may have to search a little bit. You may have more than you're looking for, but you won't have anything equivalent to all of it, right? It'll definitely give you a subset. So just a little warning on triple clicking. It's not giving you the tag stuff. It's giving you just the letters and the consonants. Okay. Now, let me do another example. So I'm going to get away from verb here. We're just going to go back to our lexeme. And I want to compare two words, very common words, amar. Okay, amar to say. So let's just click that and see what we get. Okay, I don't want all this inflection. So I'm going to change, click in here, Ctrl-T, Command-T on the Mac. Let's move this over. I don't want the inflections. I really want the stems, the binyan. So we'll put the lexical item and then the stem. So we see here with the verb amar, there's lots of occurrences, over 5,000. 5,307, 5,283, the vast majority are Qal. Got a few Nifhils, which is fine, makes sense. The Nifhil is the passive of the Qal. 2 Hiphils, only 2 places where it where Amad is causative, and 1 passive Qal. Okay, you got me curious now. I'm going to actually search for. I'm curious what these are. I haven't looked at this. So let's do, to find just those, we're going to limit it here very simply to the Hiphil. And let's hit search. Okay. Here we have, you have declared today. Okay, interesting. Amar in the Hiphil. Marta. To declare, to cause some speech to happen. Suppose that's Deuteronomy 26:17, Deuteronomy 26:18, the very next word. Same thing. The Lord has declared. So 2 examples of the Hiphil for Amad, and that's the only 2 there are. Interesting. Okay, we'll get rid of that. I wanted to show you something else. Okay, so Amad is Qal, right? Vayomer. Vayomer is the most frequent word, I think, in the Bible. I have to scroll a long time to find another one. Lemor, that's Qal. Anyway, most of these are going to be Vayomer, he said. Let's compare this with Diber. Okay. So Diber, Diber, and we want the word, there's all kinds of words related to this root, but we want the word to speak. So to say and to speak, that's generally in English how we gloss those two. Amar to say, Diber to speak. So let's do a search on that. And you'll notice that there's lots of PL, right? And there's a few Qal. Nifhil, Hiphil. You know what? I'm going to change this. I just noticed that the secondary search is countdown. Let's do alphabetical. Yeah. So this is not actually alphabetical. This is logical order, isn't it? Qal is what we want first, then Nifhil, then PL, Pul, Hiphil. They belong together. So just to see that again, I'm changing the secondary sort back to alphabetical, which I think is a default. Okay, so Diber, notice how I'm saying Diber right here, Diber. This is the Qal Qatal 3ms. I'm not saying Davar or Daber or something like that because it doesn't exist. Well, maybe it does exist in the Qal. We'll see. Diber exists in the PL. That's its predominant form, predominant binyan. Pul is a passive of the PL. Hiphil generally goes with the PL. We have some Qals and some Nifhils. So Amad is very much a Qal word, and Diber is very much a PL word. Vayomer in the Qal for Amar, and Vayidaber in the PL. But let's see what's going on with these Qals, right? Like, how come you have 4 Qals? Because there's no PLs in Amar, right? If I look at that again, see Amar, and actually let's just use, no, we just want the verbs to say. There are no Qals. Let me just check that there was a secondary, another one, meaning to swear or something, only the Hiphil. Okay. So we have no PLs whatsoever. But with Davar, or Diber, I should say, Diber, we do have some, I want this one, not the first one, just the normal one. We do have some Qals. What are those Qals? I'm curious. So let us Ctrl-T again. And under the stem, I'm going to put the aspect. Okay, aspect is like conjugation. Is it a Qal? Is it a Qatal? Is it, no, sorry, not Qal. Is it a Qatal? Is it a Yiqtol? And here we see it. In the PL, the normal form for Diber, we see Qatal, Yiqtol, Vayiqtol. Imperative, infinitive, construct, infinitive, absolute, participle, pretty much the whole shebang. For Qal, we just have infinitive construct and the participle. Okay, let me show you one other thing. I don't know if I showed you this before. Some of you may not like Qatal and Yiqtol and Yiqtol, this way of talking about the aspects or the conjugations. You prefer perfect, imperfect, the vowel consecutive, and that is, I think, the default actually. So let's turn it back to that. Edit Preferences. And just wait a second. Into Hebrew Greek, so Greek Hebrew, which we were before. This is it here. Verb, so Hebrew searching, verb aspect labels, traditional terms. Let's turn that on. We need to refresh it. I'm just going to press Ctrl-T again, say OK, and there we go. So we now have perfect, participle, perfect, imperfect, vowel consecutive. That may be more, people may be more comfortable with that. Okay, so in the PL we have everything. In the Qal we just have infinitive construct and participle, which is instructive. Infinitive constructs, those are infinitive construct, those are really kind of nominal forms, right? They're kind of partially a noun, partially a verb. And participles are really kind of partially an adjective and partially a verb. And like an adjective can be used substantively as a noun as well, like the subject. Yoshvim, the inhabitants, HaYoshvim, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, something like that. So we don't really have a verbal use of davar, of diber, in the Qal, right? We just have these sort of nominal adjectival forms. Although here we have a nifel, so got a couple perfects there. Okay, so you can do a lot of analysis this way. You can go to a grammar book and try to look it up, but they're not going to give you this kind of detail because it's way too complicated, and you would never find your answer to your question anyway. The best way to find an answer to your question is to learn how to do searches. You do your search, you can examine anything you want, you discover stuff that's interesting, and then you can search it out. Maybe this is only attractive to grammar nerds, I don't know, but it at least illustrates what can be done. Now, here's something practical. I always get mixed up yare and ra'ah, to fear and to see, okay? Let me show what I mean. So let's do yare, I guess. Yud resh aleph, that means to fear. You've got a noun form. Again, that's probably too small for you to see here, but let me do it this way so you can see it. We'll just search for yare. There it is, yare, to fear. And actually, I want to see some inflected forms. You know what? I'm going to limit this. Let's do the Yiqtol 3ms, or the vowel consecutive 3ms, okay? One of the most common forms. So we have our word. We need now to limit it to just the Yiqtol. We can do just Qal, vav consecutive, Yiqtol, third masculine singular. So we just work with a slice. We don't have to do everything. Okay, but we want to see what it looks like, so let's go like this, and we don't actually need the aspect because we know the aspect here. We've said we want the vav consecutive, so we can get rid of it here. And let's just do the inflection. Show me what it looks like. In fact, I don't need the stem either. I was thinking I should leave it in just to remind myself, but anyway, we have it here. Okay, so this is what we have for fear in the Yiqtol. Yiqtol, I'm getting mixed up here as I look at vav consecutive. The Qal, vav consecutive 3ms. And we just have a few examples here. We can look at them. We see vayir'ah, okay? I see two yuds, vayir'ah, and I say vayir'ah. Vayir'ah, anything different here? Okay, vayir'ah, I don't see both yuds. Vayir'ah, but it still sounds the same, right? Vayir'ah, vayir'ah, with only one yud, one yud, one yud, one yud. Actually, the majority only have one yud, looks like. All right. Oh, it's pretty even. I got 7 with one yud, and I got 6 with 2 yuds. So it's pretty even. Now, ra'ah is resh aleph hey, and yare is yud resh aleph. The problem with these two words, the reason for the confusion, is because the last two letters of yare match the first two letters of the root of ra'ah, to fear and to see. And whenever I see this, like, okay, which one am I dealing with, right? So we want to compare it. We just want to take a look. So let's now change this to ra'ah, to see, ra'ah, and we'll hit enter. And this is only showing us a piece of it because it doesn't show the vav, so let's look at the real text. Vayar. Okay, remember the other one was vayir'ah. Vayar. Sounds very different. Only have one yud, but you can't depend on that because half of the other ones, half of yare, to fear, only had one yud as well, but it sounds different. Vayir'ah, vayar. Vayar, right? So if you forget, you can go look it up. Now let me show you a little trick. It's not a trick, but just another little bit more advanced here. You can resh aleph. Actually, let's do yud resh aleph yare, to fear. We'll drop it in here, and then we're going to do resh aleph hey, to see, and we're going to drop him in there too. So we got both. We're searching for both of these words of this form, Qal Yiqtol 3ms, and there we see it. Now we can see them all on one sheet. We can see, if we can imagine the vav there, yar, yar, as opposed to yira, yira, yira. Okay? So another use to compare verbs, to compare words that are similar. You can just drill down and get exactly what you want. Look at the actual text. You see there's some variation. We even have this one, yir'eh, okay, to see where the hay stays. That is interesting. Let me double click, triple click that. See if I get good results. Vayir'eh. The Philistines looked and they saw vayir'eh. So vayar and vayir'eh. Interesting. Why you have one and the other, I don't know. I see there's a bunch of A seems to be missing. Is that missing? I'm not sure how to read I'm reading down here on the bottom. The critical apparatus. A is not there in the certain Septuagint. I think that's what it means. It's missing the Septuagint. Okay, well, that's not going to change the morphology. I think that's what that means. You'd have to look that up. Okay, what else? Let me see. Look at my notes here. Okay, seeing as we're looking at this, let us go back to just yare. So yud resh aleph, to fear. And I do want to see the stem. Let's do the stem, so the binyan. Let's put it above the inflection. Oh, obviously, I've limited it to Qal, so it's only going to get Qal. So let's widen our search to Yiqtols of any binyan, and we just see Qal. You know what? I'm going to get rid of this, and all I want are just any Hiphils. It's the Hiphil I'm looking for. Okay, they don't have any Hiphils. So let's change the verb to yashav. Yashav. Okay, that's the first. Well, what is it? First yud, first vav? Well, it's really a first vav, right? So if we look at this here in the Qal, we can see in the 3ms forms, in the third person forms, oh, we got some holem vavs there. Look at that. Yoshev, Qal Yoshev. Okay, that must be, okay, this is the participle. So we need to limit this here to the Yiqtol forms. Yiqtol, Yiqtol, consecutive. Let's do the vav consecutive. the prefix forms. So in the prefix forms, and we could add the Yiqtols actually. If you want to do more than one, you hold down the Shift key. And so let's do the vav consecutive and the imperfect, or the vav consecutive, or the Yiqtol and the Yiqtol prefix forms. Okay. Okay. So we see a bunch of prefix forms. We see Yud. If it is the third person masculine, either singular or plural, you're going to see the Yud. Yeshev, Yeshev, Yeshavu. Okay. What happens when we scroll down to the Hiphil, right? Yoshev. Yeah, so this is the Vayiqtol, right? Vayoshev. Let me triple click it here. Vayoshev. You can look at the bottom there, vav consecutive Hiphil. So here in the Hiphil, we see the vav. You see that the first root letter is actually a vav. The yud there is the prefix. Okay. So you can test all this stuff here. So here we don't. So some cases it's missing. See, the reality is different than the verb tables. We have two cases where it's missing in this example. And see it's missing here, but we see a lot of vavs. You won't see any vavs here at all. You shouldn't. Right, wherever you have the third person here. We could limit this to third person masculine. Third person masculine. We don't care if it's feminine, or we don't care if it's singular or plural. You're not going to see any vavs in the Qal. In the Hiphil, you're going to see the vavs, but you're also going to see, well, you see holem vav. All right, this is yeshev. So here it's just written defectively. There is a vav there in the sense as an O sound. Okay, and that's typical of the first vavs. So some people call these first yuds and then call the special 7 ones that are true first yuds. We call those true first yuds or original first yuds. But really, they're probably first vavs. It's probably a better designation. And the nifel and the Hiphil is where you're going to see the vav. And the Qal is where you do not see the vav, but of course the Qal is a more basic form, so it feels like you have a first yud. Hope that made some sense. If it didn't, well, just skip it and go to the next thing. Okay, let's do something more, less geeky. Not everyone wants to necessarily search around for morphology examples. So when you are reading, so this is another use. In fact, this is one of the things I do all the time. So if I'm reading a text, and let's bring up a new window. Let's do a new Hebrew text. Here we go. And I'm just going to leave it on verses because I want to take a look at a verse. So Isaiah 40 verse 1. Oh, did I put a semicolon there? Verse 1. There we go. And we may as well add our little Strongs there. Delete that. Oh, we don't need Strongs for this. Let's go just up the size so you can see it. So let's say I'm reading along, and I'm reading this, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami. And I want to know what Nacham means, right? One way to make vocabulary stick, one method I use, is to find the first usage of that word in the Bible and tie the meaning to that verse. It's easier for me if I do that than if I'm just memorizing off the back of a card, a flashcard, because I got nothing to hang on to. If I can associate a word with an actual verse, and typically the first verses I know better in the Bible, or at least you know the story. And of course you want to make sure it's the first verse that has a similar meaning, because words can mean slightly different things. So, Nacham, what does Nacham mean? Let's take a look. Let's just do a search. So we're going to look for Nacham. And if you didn't know what the root was, you just look at the bottom, right? Down here, look at Nacham, Nun Het Mem. So we'll look for it. Nun Het Mem, to comfort or relent. We know we want a verb, so we'll get that guy. Okay. Notice that it now flips me back to my original tab because that's the one that's linked to the construct. This is my reading tab. This is my triple click tab. It was automatically generated when I triple clicked stuff. And this is the search results from my Hebrew construct. I know that because it's linked here. So the first use of nacham of any sort, we're not limiting it by binyan or anything, is this one here. Out of the ground the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work. Vayikra et shmo Noach. And he called his name Noach. Okay, who called his name? Another little thing we can do here, I haven't showed you, I don't think. This here is context. So if I up that by 1, it defaults to 1. If I go to 2, I can get one verse on either side of my verse. So I can see a little more. When Lamech had lived 181 years, he fathered a son. So if I go up here in the Hebrew, Vayhi Lemech Shtayim Ushmonim Shana, so 280 years. Ma'at Shana, and 100 years. That's where we got 182. Vayoled Ben. Interesting. Yalad is to give birth. Men don't give birth to anybody, right? Even if people today try to pretend that men can give birth. They don't give birth. Vayoled Ben. This is in the Hiphil. You see on the bottom there? It says Hiphil. Caused to give birth. And so in English they translate it as fathered. Begat could be a word you could use. In fact, it's down there in the gloss. Okay, anyway. So Lamech is the one, because we continue our sentence or our thought here. And he's the one that called. He called his name. He gave birth to a son, or he gave birth. He begat a son. He fathered a son. And he called his name Noach. Well, that's going to be related to Nacham, at least in sound. Saying, Lemor, Ze, this one, Yenachamenu, this one will bring, what do they say? Bring us relief. Bring relief to us, the new. Me ma'asenu, from our asa, from our ma'asa. Right, the verb asa, the root asa here is a noun. From our work. So, to bring relief is the first usage. What do we have in Genesis 5? Oh, this is now the extra context first. So let's go back down. Okay, Genesis 6:6. Vayinachem. Okay, now this is, you can feel it sounds different, right? Vayinachem. This is a nifal. You look at the bottom. So this means to comfort, to relent, or to regret. Or to comfort or to regret or relent, to decide against doing something you were going to do. And the Lord, Vayinachem Adonai ki asa et ha'adam, and the Lord regretted that he had made man, ba'aretz, on the land, vayit atzev, and it grieved him, so they do it in the ESV there, el libo, in his heart. Grieved into his heart. So, in the nifal, to regret or to change your mind, to relent. This is PL. Okay, what is it in Isaiah? Let's see. Here's Isaiah. That's nifal, isn't it? You can tell by this letter here, and by this. Well, actually, it's this one. PL imperatives start with commas. Qal imperatives start with either a shva or a hirik. For example, nifol, right? Tell someone to fall. Nifli, tell a woman to fall. Singular, feminine entity. So nachamu, this is a PL. And you look at the bottom, we see that. So what did we have here? We had to relief, to give relief. Give relief, comfort my people. Isaiah is talking, or the prophet is speaking in this way to some party, a group of them, to speak relief, to give relief to my people, says your God. Yahweh is saying this. All right. So, I can relate Nacham to Noah. He will give relief to his people. And going through that little exercise, you learn a little bit more scripture. You're not just learning abstract words on some cards. It doesn't mean anything. So as you learn vocabulary, you're learning verses. Or more to the point, you're learning verses and you're picking up vocabulary as you go. So accordance can be really good. If you're reading something and you don't know a word, do a search. Find a meaningful verse. It may not be the first verse, but find something that is find a significant verse that you can remember, and then you'll start tying scripture together. And it's meaningful. It's meaningful theologically because you're tracking themes often through different verses. So that's one use, vocabulary building. Yalad. We already talked about yalad. I can show you there here. Yalad. So that's to beget. We'll look at it here. Let's get rid of these inflections for a second. So what I want to look here. Okay, yalad is to bear, right? So you shall bring forth children is the first example there. Vateled, right? Eve, Adam knew his wife, and she conceived, she bore, right? Vateled, because it's women that bear. Et Cain, she bore Cain, she gave birth to Cain. Now, can this be in the masculine? That's the question of, does Hebrew use this term for fathering? Well, let's take a look. So to do that, we have a verb, yalad. Let's do this here, and let us only change the gender. See what we get. Okay, so we have some cows. Let me look at the inflections so I can triple click. Inflections. And actually, I want the aspects too. Let's look at the aspect. We'll get rid of inflection for a second because we got too much stuff. Okay, so we got some Qal perfects. Be interesting to see what that is. Let's look at that. Qal perfect inflection. So what would this be? Yalad. Okay, so we do have this irad, fathered. So this is Genesis 4 in a genealogy, and we have it here in Genesis 10. So in genealogies, we see yalad in the perfect, in the Qal perfect, used for men. And we got a bunch of them here as well. Yalad. Nifal, we'd expect that. Hiphil. Look at Hiphil. Hiphil, we have a lot more. I think 150, 35. So you could go through here and see, is this consistently genealogies? I'm seeing a lot of Genesis 10. This looks like a genealogy. Here's not. Who has borne these to me? It's generic, but it's masculine. This is abstract, gave birth to lies. The Hiphil, let's take a look at the Hiphil. Just limit it to Hiphil here. Hiphil. And so here we have Vayoled. Adam, when Adam had lived, he fathered a son in his own likeness, after his own image. That's Vayoled. And then we have the next guy, still Adam, Seth, Vayoled. So in Genesis 5, they're using Vayoled. Interesting. I don't know what the difference is. We could take a look at NIDOTTE. We'll do it this way. Look up in dictionary, and we'll come down here. Just want to move it up where I can see it. Let's open this up a bit and bump up the font size. So yalad, to give birth in the Qal. Bear, give birth to. Issue, be born. Okay, this is Clines, right? Yeah. So he's going to list subjects. Interesting. This is a very interesting dictionary, right? So to give birth, and as a father begetting, so we have this here. We have male and female there. This one, he lists all the different subjects. So Abigail, then Abishur and Abiahel. I can't read the English names very well. All these different subjects he lists. Daughters. Let's see what he does. Actually, let me go to NIDOTTE. Just wonder if they have a discussion. Well, the discussion's too big here. Begat. Okay, in the genealogy of the family of Cain and Seth, the overwhelming preference is for the Qal of Yalad. Let me make this a bit larger so you can see it. So they do discuss this here. Okay, down here. By contrast, in the genealogy found in Genesis 5, the 10 generations from Adam to Noah, one finds use of the Hiphil. Again, Genesis 10. Interesting. The phenomena, then, is of two sets of back-to-back genealogies, naming the same individuals or ones with identical names, in which the birthing process is described first with the Qal and then with the Hiphil. Cassuto argued in the documentary hypothesis that the distinction between the two stems from Yalad has nothing to do with. He argued that the distinction between the two has nothing to do with sources, but is a reflection of Hebrew idiom. For example, Yalad means the same as Holid, he fathered, only in the past tense, but there is never any Yeled, so that's Yiqtol or Vayeled, Yiqtol, vav consecutive, in the male forms, to mean he will father. Interesting. For Qal, imperfect is used only when the mother is the subject. When the father is the subject, one can only say Yoled or Vayoled. Interesting. You see, these guys have done the work, right? We just sort of picked up. I was expecting only to see the male forms using Hiphil only. I hadn't done a close enough search as I was doing this, and I couldn't remember what I'd done. I could have looked at this in the past. And now I saw evidence of something else, and so I go to my NIDOTTE, and I'm seeing some interesting discussion there. Cool. Okay, man alive, I'm already at 47 minutes. I want to show you two other things. I'm just going to do it. Try to do it quicker. So I want to show you, because I haven't shown you that much yet, and how to use all this. I want to show you two words. How to do two words. So let's look at the word moot, to die. I typed it wrong. Moot. Took me 3 times to do that. Okay. The first occurrence of moot is the famous Genesis 2:27. Moot tamut. Okay. In the day, b'yom acholcha, in the day you eat from it, memenu, mut tamut, you will surely die. So you have infinitive absolute, and then we have Yiqtol, same root, infinitive absolute followed by another verb form, where the infinitive absolute is increasing the intensity. I think that's how Ross puts it, increasing the intensity of whatever is being expressed in the following verb. So you will surely die, you will most certainly die. Now, what if I wanted to find all the moot tamuts in the Bible? Not just, like right now I've just searched for moot, right? The next one is lest you die, a different word, or a different form, right? But I want to find all this use of the infinite absolute with moot. So let's look, first look, we'll do a second one, moot over here, moot, to die. And we're going to use this here because I want to see them within, let's say let's say one word. Okay, one word. I just want examples where moot is followed by another moot. So here we have moot, timutun. So this is a serpent. It says you shall surely not die. Lo moot timutun. And again, this is infinite absolute, and this is imperfect. What's the next example? Moot tamut. Genesis 20. This is either Abimelech or one of those guys that stole Abraham's wife, and this may be Isaac at this point. No, I think it's Abraham again. Genesis 20. And mot tamut, again, you shall surely die. God speaking to him. Another one here, mot yumut, whoever touches this man shall be put to death. So passive, but still, we got this thing here. Now let's find some that don't work. Mate mut yumut. A man who strikes a man shall surely be put to death. So surely be put to death is this. We first have this before it. Do you have any examples here? Okay, so the only examples, it seems, of moot together with another word is with the infinitive absolute, or two moots next to each other. Okay, I was going to limit this. I was hoping there was some examples of it doing something else so I could limit it. Okay, let's do it this way. So let us look for all the occurrences of an infinitive absolute with the same verb. I don't know if I can do that. Let me try this here. So let's get rid of this lexical here. Let's just look for infinitive absolute. Where's my infinitive absolute here? Infinitive absolute. Okay. With another verb. And let's just leave it completely open within one-to-one, and we're going to say they agree. Okay, these two verbs, they agree in root. Okay, so the same root within one word right next to each other, where the first one is infinitive absolute. Let's see what that produces. Take a moment. Okay, the first one is achol tochel. You may surely eat. Now, there's some theology there. Before God says mot tamut, if I was saying mut, it's mot. Mot tamut, he said achol tochel. You may surely eat. You can be nourished from any tree in the garden. He said that first. Then he said, you shall surely die if you eat from the wrong tree, if you disobey, if you go the way of the serpent, if you change allegiance, you want to do your own thing, right? Grace first. So anyway, so infinitive absolute followed by another verb. You shall surely be able to eat. You can eat anything. Then we have another mot tamut. What's this one here? I will surely multiply, okay? So this is arbe, I will multiply, I will increase. And harbe is the infinitive absolute. And these are both Hiphil, right? A-class prefix vowel, I-E class theme vowel. And the Yiqtol form is the marker of the Hiphil. Cause to multiply. And so this syntactical arrangement here between an infinitive absolute and another verb of its same root to intensify it also works in the Hiphil and with other words. What's this? Yadoa teda. Yadoa, surely know. Know for certain. Okay. So this is, it's an imperfect, but I think it's being used here as a command. Know for certain, yeah. And we do the same thing in English. You can use a future tense to indicate a command. You know, the door shall be shut. The door will be shut. Really, what you're saying is, or you could in some context be saying, shut the door. Anyway, so we have more examples of infinitive absolute with shall surely be circumcised, right? Okay. The last thing, now let me do one more thing here. So another thing that shows up is when you have the infinitive absolute of halach. So Ross will talk about this in one of his chapters. So let's look for the lexical form halach. Halach, to walk. Did I write the wrong thing? Halach, there we go. To walk, followed, and here I'm going to do 2 because you usually have a vav in between, or maybe I could do 3. And it's not the same root. Halach, an infinitive absolute followed by a verb. The first one, the famous one, haloch vashuv. The waters of the flood, they were continually going back, right? Haloch vashov. Walking and returning. Okay, literally, suppose. But what it means is it is in the process of returning. So here this is not for emphasis, and you do have a vav in between. It is to indicate continual action. Haloch v'hasor. Now they're abating. They're going back. So this was receding. This was slightly different. This is abating. Continue to abate. Different word, but the same kind of construction. What else do we have? Okay. Haloch v'nasoa vayisa Avram. Okay. So Abraham set out. He journeyed. He picked up his tent pegs to move. Haloch v'nasoa. Walking and journeying ha-negba, into the negba, or towards the negba, or negev in English. So walking and journeying, right? Journeying on is how the ESV does it. So you can find this one here has to do with getting rich or getting important, becoming great. Haloch v'gadel. Right? He was increasingly gaining. He was getting richer. So nice examples. You can search for it with this. One final thing. Well, there's other things I'm skipping here, but I don't want to make this too long. Let's look at the Tetragrammaton. So we're going to do it by lexeme, Yud, He, Vav, He. And I just want to show the different inflections here. And we're going to sort these. The secondary sort, I'm going to go back to count down. Just leave everything else. It's fine. There's no stem or aspect for a noun. I could take it out if I want. It just doesn't make any sense for nouns, but let's take it out. Okay. So we have here the Tetragrammaton, Yahweh, if you want to pronounce it that way. And the vast majority of the time, not most of the time, it's spelled like this. Oh, okay. I don't know why it's doing this here. It's giving me the same thing between the two. I'm not sure. This frequently it does this when you do these sorts of searches. I'm not sure what the difference is. Maybe someone can figure that out and tell me. But let's look at this one here. So most of the time it's a shava followed by a kametz, right? Now this one, there's no shava. Can you guess why? If we triple click, there's lots of them. We triple click it, and we'll see why. It's because it's got a prefix. Ladonai, 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 Vadonai, right? Okay, so that's why that's missing. And likely the same deal here. We got the duplicate. Here, it's got a hirik, or a shava followed by hirik, rather than a shava followed by kametz. So what's going on here? Why is this different? Why is the Tetragrammaton pointed differently? Well, if we click this, we'll see that it's following Adonai, right? And this here, the Masoretes are telling us with this pointing here to say it, to read it as Adonai. Maybe I should explain something here. This is what they call a perpetual qere ketib. Okay, in the consonantal text, you have Yud, He, Vav, He. That's all you have. You just have the consonants. So what the Masoretes have done, they've gone and they've put in vowel points. This is between the 3rd or the 6th and 9th century AD. They put the vowel points in the consonantal text. But they didn't want to disturb the consonantal text, and so they put them down here or whatever. And then sometimes the consonantal text wasn't lining up with what they expected, and so they'd put a little circle on it, and they'd say, even though it says this, I want you to read this in the margin. And then there were some other cases where they said, this is what we want you to read. So in the case of the Tetragrammaton, or at least this is what our reading tradition does, okay? In the case of the Tetragrammaton, they put these in here to say what we are reading, actually what we're saying is Adonai. They're not saying Yahweh. This is not, in fact, that wouldn't work for Yahweh, right? That would have to be a comets here or something. These vowel points do not belong to these consonants. These are separate. It's just they're placed here because they don't want to put them in the margin for 3,396 and all these other times, right? So they just stick them right into the body of the text as vowels. So this is saying read Adonai, because Adonai, if you look at the word Adonai, we have it right here. We have a shavah here. It's a compound shavah because you got the aleph, but you have a shavah, and you have a kametz. You also have the o. Most of the time, they just put a shavah. They don't put the compound one because you have a yod. So it's kind of weird in some ways because they are actually according this vowel with the yod, even though they're not supposed to go together. You know, you would think that because these are remind you of this, that you wouldn't care that this is a yod. But anyway, they put a shavah here and they put a kametz here to tell you to read this word. Now there are some. Look at this one down here. Shavah, holem, kametz. That matches more closely. You got the holem there, and this one's got the holem, but that's the other word. Okay, so Adonai is what this is supposed to be. But sometimes they'll point it like this. You got the hirik there, because when you already have the word Adonai, Lord, then you don't say the next one Adonai, you say Elohim, because otherwise you'd be saying Adonai, Adonai when you read. So the Master Teacher is saying the way we do it and what we're pointing for is our reading tradition is Adonai Elohim. You say Elohim when it follows Adonai. And therefore, they put different vowels to indicate that qere. Qere meaning reading. So you read it audibly this way with a shavah and a hirik indicating Elohim. So Elohim, if I go over here and just look at the word Elohim, Genesis 1, we know it's in Genesis 1. Elohim has a shavah and a hirik. It's also got the O there. So shavah, holem, and a hirik. So if we look here, where was my search? It was this one here. If you look here, we have the shavah and the hirik, just like we had a shavah and a kametz for Adonai. We have a shavah and a hirik for Elohim. This above is not a vowel, that is a cantillation mark. There are a couple here, like this one, 15 of them. Let me triple click this. So this one has all three vowels, the hirik, or the shavah, the holem, and the hirik to indicate saying Elohim, because it's following Adonai. Okay, so you've got all these different ways. Look at all these different forms of the pointing of the Tetragrammaton, right? All the way down here. Sometimes I get questions from people, how do you pronounce the Lord's name? It's like, well, what I can tell you is what the Masoretes were suggesting we use as substitutes. Beyond that, you're going to have to go with theophoric names to figure out how the name was actually pronounced. But certainly by the time of the Masoretes, they were having a practice of not pronouncing the name directly and using substitutes. Okay, accordance gives you all the nitty-gritty details. And there's scads and scads of more stuff you can do. At this point, I think I'm going to stop making videos on this. Who knows, maybe I'll make another one. But you have enough to jump in now and look at the accordance tutorials for Hebrew construct searching. And they can tell you about what's in all this other stuff here and how to use not and what inter is and agree. Well, agree we used and within we used. And also other tutorials that are on YouTube and the help pages. But I hope that this helped to get you into Hebrew searching on accordance. For those of you doing Hebrew, that I think is the most powerful thing. Together with the lexicons, get a good lexicon And I also use it, of course, for commentaries, but you could get commentaries elsewhere as well. We will leave it at that.